So let's make this larger. Let's just go back to the classic view, the classics, and just to get an idea. So we have the options here where we have the drop down here, which is a little different. We have this is where it shows us the activity that we saw, the 0 and non-zero. So it's here and it's in the customized, which was duplicated in the classic view. And then we've got the periods over here with the previous period, the comparative reports, and the cash versus accrual toggle, the collapse, the sort, and so on, those items here. Then we could go into the customize where there was some duplicates. So now it looks like this. In the general, it had the custom dates and whatnot again, which is a duplicate of what it had over here. This is why they might be trying to change it, because they had some redundancy, which I don't think was really necessary. They've got the cash and accrual toggle, which was also over here. So again, that's somewhat redundant. And then you've got the divide by 1,000 that we saw before, the without cents, which they changed to being to the closest whole number. And that's because if you divide by 1,000, then it's not talking about cents, it's talking about the next whole number. So we have that one. Except zero amounts. So that's with the zero amounts, we've got the negative numbers bracketed and show them as red with a toggle like this time. And then I'll close that up. Close this one. We've got the rows. So this gives us the years and whatnot. And this gives us the active. Notice the years were over here before, so that's redundant. And then here's where that active versus inactive and stuff was, which and the old version also was over here, I believe, right here. So once again, this whole bit was redundant. And then we have the filter. So here's where the filtering options are in this format. So by default, it's already filtered to a balance sheet report, remembering that the filters are something that we'll typically use most commonly in the transaction detail, drilling down into the checking account and then filtering. And this is the classic version of the filters. So it's going to give you the, this is the filtering options by customer. It won't, let me click off of this. Click off of that. Customer, vendor, and product. And then we can filter within each of those items. And then in the header and footer, we've got the show logo up top. So if we want the company logo, company name, this is checking it off. If I uncheck it, it would remove the company name. And of course, we can then we could actually adjust the company name. That's a little bit redundant as well, because I could change it by just clicking in here and changing it. So then we got the report title. So the balance sheet, which once again is a little bit redundant because I could click in here and change the text. And then we've got the report period. So that would remove the report period that we saw before. And then we've got the date prepared, time prepared. That's removing the footers that we looked at. The new format is a little bit nicer because you can see the header and footer even if you're not in the page preview mode, which is kind of nice so that you can kind of see what's happening with these two while you're looking at the options. And then you've got the report basis. So it's going to say that it's on the accrual or cash basis. And then you can center and so on the alignment. So that's going to be where these options are here. You also have the customize button here. Wait a sec. You've got the save customization. And that's going to be useful because once you make any changes to the report, you can save the customization. And then, so if I save the customization, it's going to be a balance sheet. Let's say balance sheet 1, for example. And then I can add it to maybe a group. So I might say that I'm going to make a group name of just group 1. And then I'll add that group, which will put it in the drop down here. So I'm going to put it into that group. It didn't add the 1, but group. And then share with, I could share it with other people if there are multiple users and I want to share the report, but I'm just going to save it here. And then when I go into the first tab, let's go to the first tab. Let's go into the reports. And then usually we go into the standard tab, but I could go into the custom reports where now we have our custom balance sheet, which has been altered. So if I go into the custom balance sheet, now it's already going to have this comparative reports that we have put in play. So that could be really useful. One of the ways we might use that, as we'll take a look at in future presentations, is to say, I want to have some reports that are customized for my internal use, possibly taking off the pennies or something like that. Or maybe I like to have negative numbers. Maybe I want to see the zeros that have activity in them for my internal reports. And then for the external reports, which I give to clients, maybe then I round the numbers and don't show the pennies to make it a little bit cleaner for them on the eyes, possibly. Maybe I then remove the zeros, even if they're active, so that they don't have any zero balances on their sheets and so on and so forth. Maybe I change the name up top. Maybe I add my logo for the external reports, but not to the internal reports. So that's going to be useful for us to do that customization, remembering that I could always do further customization. Notice that you don't have things like fonts. You don't have a lot of options on fonts. You don't have a lot of options on different color schemes, different kind of indentation schemes, and so on and so forth, which you could do and to your heart's desire in Excel. But if you export it to Excel and then further customize it, you would have to do that every time, as opposed to the adjustments made in here, which you can then save the customizations and open directly to those customized reports every time. So again, you might do a little bit of touch-up work in Excel sometimes on certain reports, which again could give you just a little bit, would give you an extreme differentiation between other QuickBooks users, because they wouldn't be using any simple font functionality or anything like that, although the report formatting is different in Excel. So we'll export to Excel later and we'll explore those different options later.